morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I would like to just start out by acknowledging that I wanted to wish a happy Pride Month. We're in June now, so happy Pride to everybody. And that means everybody. So thank you very much. I wanted to ask today, I just celebrated my eldest nephew, just graduated from Purdue University. Yeah, civil engineering. And with all of the graduations, the end of the school year, we've been thinking about teaching and learning. And I wanted to ask for those of you who've had really good teachers to just shout out their names. What are your
Miss Clark.
Miss Clark. All right. Great. And what was it about these teachers that made them good teachers?
They took time for me.
Took time? They cared? Yeah.
Taught what needed to be taught to move on in life.
Oh, taught what needed to be taught to move on in life. Excellent.
Enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic. They were good listeners. Compelling.
They were fun.
They were fun. My favorite teacher, and no bias here, my favorite teacher is my mom. I had her all 4 years of high school for an English class. She was an award-winning teacher. She won national awards and recognition for that, so I'm not just being biased myself. She was a teacher with the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, How to Teach Teachers How to Teach Shakespeare, which is as meta as you can get. So I love good teachers and good teaching, and today's not about that. Today is about the lessons we learned from people and from events where there was some struggle going on, where there was some difficulty. And I have some strategies for how to learn from difficult situations. And so first story that I wanted to tell was from 4 years ago. 6 years ago now. Ellen and I are living in Montana at this time. And it's the pandemic, and anxiety is up to here to begin with, and there was an election going on. Ooh. And nearby to our house, there was a neighbor who had a very long fence. And because of traffic patterns and things, if I was ever going to go out for a walk, and which I wanted to do because I was working 70-hour weeks from home, trying to keep my church alive online, right? I had to pass this fence. And on this fence was every candidate and every ballot measure that I found personally distasteful. And boy, I would walk past that fence, and I tried keeping my vision just right on the ground, just navigating that sidewalk. I became very familiar with the sidewalk. I tried whistling past the fence. I tried singing past the fence. But every time I went past this fence, my blood pressure would just spike and teeth would grind. And I realized that as much as I was having a problem with who's this neighbor who keeps posting this stuff, and the names of the people on the fence, the person I really didn't like as I was passing that fence was the person I became. So angry and so bitter and so mean as I was passing that fence like a couple of times a day. And I thought, I can't change what any of these candidates have to say. I don't even know who this neighbor is. It's a little difficult to tell. The only person I can change in this situation is me. And so I thought, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Every time I pass this fence and I see these names, I'm going to put a little blessing on that, put a little prayer on that. And so it's like, may you know wisdom. May you know peace. May you know joy. May you know compassion. May you get your head out of your butt. And so I was doing this, and over a course of a couple of weeks, I began to add, may you and I know wisdom. May you and I together know peace. May you and I together know compassion. And so this fence, which had triggered so much anger and upset, now was triggering this really wonderful meditation. And when the election was over and the names on the fence came down, I actually missed them a little bit. because that trigger was gone. But the universe is generous. And what I find is the universe never runs out of providing us teachers. And a lot of times those teachers are very good and they're compassionate, and they're smart, they're engaged, and they listen, and they're invested in our growth and well-being, and I love those teachers. And sometimes not so much, right? And so a long time ago, I was working at a Hewlett-Packard company, and I was a consultant, and I was doing communication skills training, mandatory communication skills training for factory line workers for 16 weeks.
Really?
Yeah, it was a good gig. It was really fun, but we had a cadre of teachers, and the Hewlett-Packard staff, for the most part, left us alone, which was great. But there was one of our cadre of teachers and one of the HP people who just did not get along. This gal, I called her the Earth Mother. She was she'd been raised in Eugene, as I was, and her whole outfits were made of scarves. And there was a cloud of patchouli wherever she walked. And I think the thing that kind of set her off against the HP supervisor was, like, her first day, she asked if she had to wear shoes to teach in. So there was a little culture clash going on. And so my friend, my colleague, this trainer, would keep getting called in, like, to the principal's office at HP for her correction, and we just could see the handwriting on the wall there. But she got to the point. She was really a wonderful person and a good teacher, but she got to the point where she would get another missive from the HP oversight person saying another meeting had been called. She said, my teacher has called again. And I thought, what a great attitude. She knew that there was this person who, there was a conflict, there was a struggle, but she knew that there was a lesson to be learned. And what I found is that this doesn't work for people who, like, have a deliberate intention to harm or anything like that, but kind of the low-level annoyances that we experience from other people, there is often something to learn. It's like good teachers create windows for us to see possibilities. Good teachers open those windows and polish them up and, like, look at what you can do, look at what you can become. And these teachers who teach in the opposite direction hold up mirrors. Mm-hmm. Look at the growth we have yet to do. Yay! So like I said, the universe is generous, and has provided me recently with a teacher in my life who provides that kind of level of inspiration that comes when you see how all you have to do is see their name and you go, so this comes from the world of kayaking for me, of course. And so my background is that I've been paddling for 20 years. And I have taken classes, and I have watched YouTube videos, and I have read the books, and I have done the stuff so that I know things. And that's your first clue. I think I know things. So this person has also been paddling for a long time, and she has a different kind of set of values around kayaking and group dynamics. And she thinks she knows things, and the things that she thinks she knows are different in approach than the things I think I know. And it drives me up the wall. So I'm out paddling with some friends, and we're on Coyote Creek at Fern Ridge. And if any of you know Coyote Creek at Fern Ridge, there is no decent place to get out if you have to go potty. You are, like, in your boat, start, finish. There's no real place to get out. But nature calls, needs must. And so I'm out with some other friends, and nature called to one of my colleagues, and she had to get out of the boat, and she kind of got messy with the mud. And one of her friends, who was trying to help her by stabilizing her boat, also flipped out of her boat. And she was in 4 feet of water. It's not a big deal, but we were laughing hysterically. And of course, because I'm a very good friend, I was taking video of this whole thing. So later posted this video to Facebook with a story, and everybody's okay and everything's fine. And this teacher of mine responded on Facebook, "This is why I never drink water when I'm out kayaking, and this is why you shouldn't drink water when you're out kayaking." So, I'm one of the identities that I have with my kayaking group is that
Can we make an announcement?
Oh, sorry.
I apologize, the interrupter, sir.
Okay.
There's a gray Prius parked in front of the rolled door. I need to get someone out of the shop next door. Can you go over?
There's a gray Prius parked over here.
Thank you.
If you could move that, please.
Thanks, Ruth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, so I'm a safety queen, and I'm asked, when I'm asked to, I give kayaking safety talks, and when I'm asked to, I set out paddling rules, and I try to just do that when I'm asked to, because I know how annoying it is to do that when you're not being asked to do that. But this woman, I was looking at her, I was just like, okay, so you're holding up a mirror for things that I don't find attractive in myself, like commenting on situations when I don't know the background, like sometimes presenting expertise when it's not called for, like making comments about situations when I don't know the broader context of those situations. And so this has been great, because I was preparing for this talk, and I've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks about like teaching and learning. And so as I've been looking at how to present this idea, I've been looking at, wow, what a fabulous teacher this person has been in my life. This is great. So I did a little bit of study about teaching strategies, and there's some scholars suggest that when you're learning a new set of skills, you need to have that person who is very well equipped in teaching you the right thing to do and how to do it well, and is encouraging you and mentoring you and doing all of that. But then there's a stage of your learning when you need to start evaluating the opposite of the good stuff that you've been taught. When you need to do case studies to evaluate failures. When you need to look at the person who's doing it wrong so that you can tell how to do it right. That's actually a necessary part of the learning process. So in terms of kind of how to do this going forward, so the idea is to take a person in your life who is, for whom you're getting that kind of thing. And again, not a person who may be federally elected to office, so you don't want to start there. But someone who's actually in your life, someone whom you encounter on a somewhat regular basis, and not someone where there's a lot of harm or injury. That's a whole other section of forgiveness and healing to deal with. A side note, I have done a lot of talks about forgiveness, and I tell people, don't start with Hitler. Bring it back. So the structure for learning from difficult people, difficult situations, first separate the behavior that you're reacting to from the person. And then when we've identified those behaviors, then say, where's the mirror? Where am I doing something that's like this? Where am I doing it? And then look at, how could I change that behavior? How can I look at a different way of approaching that? Where is the correction I can make in myself? And then, this is a really important part, then thank the teacher. Not like out loud, like, you've been such an annoying person in my life and I've learned so much, thank you. No, don't do that part. But in your own heart, in our own hearts, to thank the person for holding up that mirror so that we can make a change to something else. And I find that when I get all the way to, I think it's like stage 5 in that process, after I've separated the behavior and evaluated it and tried to figure out how I'm going to do something different, gotten all the way down to stage 5 of thanking my teacher, either the annoyance goes away or the teacher does. And I'm really okay with either. I'm really good with either. So that's what I wanted to share with us today as we're looking at all the different ways that we are teachers to each other, all the ways that we are learning from each other. I had a phone call the other day with a former pastoral colleague who wanted to invite me to do some work at her church, and she started to list things that I had done in working with her on different projects 10 years ago. Things that I had forgotten about completely, but had made such an impression on her that 10 years ago she was recounting them back to me. We are always in a position of mentoring, of being role models, of inspiring other people, or being people's mirrors. Yeah. And so my thought, my hope, my wish, my joy is for all of us in this community to be thankful and mindful of that role as teachers and learners, because every time we learn and model something out to our circles, those circles reflect out more broadly, right? So let us be good windows for each other, and let us buff up those mirrors so that we can learn the lessons from the case study perspective as well. And in this way, I think we change our world. And so it is.
Very good.